Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. And I'll tell you right now, woo, if you're a follower of Wall Street, what a Monday it has already been. The markets have been everywhere. We've been down 1,000 points. We've been up 1,000 points. They only go back down 1,000 points. And now, I don't know. Nobody seems to know as the tariffs turn. It's the latest soap opera du jour out there. And I'll just say this. We've been warning you, telling you. At times, I've yelled at you. At other times, I've begged you. Getting diversified. Are you seeing what we're talking about? When you think about what happened Thursday and Friday, you can't say it was unexpected. Because we know, what did we know? Well, we know we had the longest inverted yield curve ever that came on inverted. And by the way, that was always the signal. Next 3 to 6 months, something bad. And, we got just over 6 months. Something bad. We had stock valuations that were reminiscent of the tech bubble, right? The valuations that were, priced to perfection. Remember how many times I said, gosh, Wall Street's just, everything's got to go perfect. And nothing's perfect. And yes, did the Trump administration do a horribly terrible, awful job of rolling out these tariffs? Yup, they did. They absolutely did. Because, they were talking about, reciprocal tariffs, and then they talked about, this country charges 300% for butter, and this country charges us 100% for crops, and this country won't even let us sell them cars, and right, stuff that kind of, I think, made sense to people. Okay, that makes sense. Do you want to charge us 300% for something? We'll charge you 300% for something, right? I think that was what the markets were expecting. That's what I was expecting, because, let's face it, that's what they said. And I said, okay, that's what he's going to do. And instead, what happened was every country that ran a trade surplus with the United States. In other words, hey, we bought more from them than they bought from us. They came up with this formula that, nobody really, everyone was scratching their head. Now, we figured it out now. So here's what they did. Anybody that I guess wasn't running trade surpluses, they got hit with 10%, right? Everybody, let's take Vietnam, because that's one. Look, Vietnam's going to capitulate. Listen, Vietnam, they charged a 5% tariff, and they did it to everybody. It is totally insignificant. The problem is, remember the first round of tariffs Trump put in way back? What was that, 5-6 years ago, whatever that was? Well, companies like Nike and others, they all moved to Vietnam. So when you look at Vietnam and the trade with the United States, over the last few years, the trade deficit with Vietnam's gotten huge. Why? Because a lot of these manufacturers went from China to Vietnam. So they took let me give it to you in this way. This is the best way to do it. We buy $100 from Vietnam, right? Well, they're only buying, let's call it $10, right? So that's like a 90% difference. So let's take half of that And that's the new tariff that we're going to put on Vietnam. That's what they did to everybody. And people are like, wait, what? Right? Wasn't that the whole point? We move manufacturing somewhere else to get all the cheap stuff? That's not a reciprocal tariff. That's why Wall Street freaked out. Okay? And listen, I'm going to say this. They have every right to, because that's not what they told us. I guess, you know what? What's the point? Does it matter? If it was going to go down thousands and thousands of points, irregardless, it was, I guess, Jason, it just happened in a different fashion. Instead of happening a month ago, it happened last week and now into this week.
Well, I guess sometimes these things are timed out. I mean, if it went last month, you couldn't blame the tariffs on it. You gotta blame the tariffs on it, Joe. It could have went without the tariffs, right? But let's just wait, and we'll make sure that everybody sells off at the same time. We know that and Joe's talking about the history of it and how this was. We've been saying that these things are built in. It's going to happen, but Joe, we've seen some of the biggest holders of these stocks, which are selling off right now, selling even 2 years ago, right? 2023. 2024, you got the Elon Musks and the Jeff Bezoses and the Jamie Dimon selling for the first time his stock of his bank.
His whole career.
Yeah.
His whole career. Let's not forget Warren Buffett, right? The guy, once again, looking like the genius that he is. And listen, you guys. Now, I'll explain it to you on the way back. You better call, you better get diversified, or you better get used to having a whole lot less in your portfolio. 800-951-0592. And I've been doing this, as you guys know, a long time. 20-plus years. I'm worried. Really, really worried here. This is quite honestly dumb. I don't know what else to call it. I hate to say it. It's hard to understand. And they're sitting there saying, oh, well, this country's negotiating and that country's negotiating. Listen, there's not a lot left to do. Let me give you a great example. Back to Vietnam. They called up and said, listen, we'll take away the 5%. We'll take no tariffs with you. That's not good enough. That was our answer. That was our answer. That's not good enough. And here's the sad part. That's actually true. It's not good enough. It is not good enough when you build your system on a fiat money system. Eventually, you get to this point. Figure it out. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. The Dow is moving in, it is breathtaking speed. Like I said, we've been down 1,000. We were up 1,000. Right now, we are down 1,000 again. 37,250. The S&P is down 100. The S&P now below 5,000. The NASDAQ right now, I guess for the NASDAQ, it's doing pretty good. It's only down 250. I mean, and again, when we look at, you're hearing words like bear market territory. Of course, a bear market when it's down 20%. And here's I'll just say, because I know, well, maybe I can go fishing here, right? I can buy some cheap stuff. I will tell you when it's cheap. I promise I will. It is not. It's not. We're not there. I want to be there, but we're not there.
It might just be starting.
Again, if this is, and it just feels like they're going to see this thing through. Because I will say this, Peter Navarro was the guy out on TV today. And he's a part of the Trump administration, and they're just saying, listen, we're staying here. We are going to collect buku dollars. And we're going to give you the biggest tax cut in history. Okay? Two things. I cannot tell you how many, just take automobiles for right now, have literally said, okay, we're not shipping any cars to the U.S. See, this is kind of a problem. See, when you put these mega tariffs on, what happens? People just buy less, ship less, right? You're going to create less revenues. All of the, I'll set that aside. I know I'm kind of skittish right now, but this is something where I get it, but the consequence of what the Trump administration is willing to do, at least what they're saying they're willing to do. S&P 4,000 is probably conservative. Right? We'll probably see S&P 3,000. We'll probably see the Dow back to where it was when Trump was in office the first time. What, in the 20s? We'll see whatever. Listen, none of us know, right? Because we don't know. Every day they hope that I guess the Trump administration changes their mind. The 10-year note, this probably is a good indicator. Yeah, this thing got down to like 3.8 and change, 4.1. Big moves out of the 10-year note. Why the worry? Inflation, the worry that the Trump administration isn't going to back down. Asia, Japan, and all of Asia. One of the worst trading days ever, going back to 1987. Remember what happened? Remember the Nikkei was 40,000 in 1987 when the big crash came, for those of you that were old enough? By the way, you know where the Nikkei is right now? 31,000. All of those years later, right? Now it's gotten to 40,000, but yeah, it can't hold it, by the way. When you see, here's another sign. That's what I'm telling you. Crude oil off $1 right now. Gold, which has been by far the best performing asset over the last 3 trading days, it's down 40. And it's still the best asset, right? What's gold down? About 3.5% here, right around $3,000. Silver, which, boy, silver got taken to the woodshed. Silver's rebounded today, sitting right at $30. By the way, now 100 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. Once again, okay, here we go. Just this fast. Trump is threatening new 50% tariff on China if Beijing doesn't remove its retaliatory tariff. So remember, Trump hits China with 10%. China did nothing. Trump hit China with another 10% to get them to 20%. China did nothing. Trump hit China with 34% last week. But that was the, quote, retaliatory tariff. China responded and said on the 9th, so what is that, Wednesday? We are going to impose 34% on the United States. Today, Donald Trump has responded and saying that he will inflict another 50%. So that would put the tariff, Jason, on China alone over 100% if China doesn't remove the retaliatory tariff. Now, listen, I don't know what China's going to do. I have no clue. I will say this. If China doesn't blink, we'll probably have a day on Wall Street where the circuit breakers kick in. What does that mean? We're going to fall 7, 10, even more percent in a single day. By the way, in case you want to know, the first circuit breaker starts at 7%. So if any of the indices, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, fell 7%, they will shut the machines off. And I want to say I think the first one's 5 minutes, right? Let everyone regroup. Then they'll turn them back on. If it falls 10%, they shut them off again, right? They're going to try to stop the stampede here. But Jason, it does not appear, and again, I'm only going by these headlines, that the Trump administration has any plans of reversing any of this. And the thing about it is, what they said was retaliatory tariffs was a whole lot more, right? They essentially they want to get to the point where, hey, you're buying as much from us as we're buying from you. And Jason, I don't know how that's possible. I don't know. I don't know how that would work.
Well, it looks like decisions are made on the fly, so I don't think it's going to be known exactly how it's going to work at all. I think that's the whole point of why the markets have reacted Thursday and Friday and coming into today. And I mean, Joe, and you talked about it, but the ups and downs of today, I mean, the overnight was horrible, and then this morning it was down 1,500 points. Then it's been up, then back down. So volatility is in. You know, Joe and I asked Joe about volume. The volume is up, which means people are getting more active in the markets. They're not leaving it alone. People are wanting to figure out what to do and then making decisions. So just listening to you, Joe, you know, as the chit chat is going back and forth between these world leaders, that doesn't breed calmness. You know, Trump. There's nothing about Trump that breeds calmness. It's all about action and activity, and it brings up the energy and for a lot of people when it comes to tariffs, the stress, right, Joe? And I thought today, after the Thursday and Friday, that there would have a little bit of an up day. You'd see some guys trying to take advantage of these huge down days. But now that we're down, if we stay down, and I thought Tuesday would be a tremendous down day. If it's down today and not up a little bit, does that mean tomorrow ends up being like Friday? Do we have another Friday coming tomorrow? That's what you might want to watch out for.
Listen, I think we'll be lucky not to have Friday today. That's where I'm at right now. Right now, the Dow's down 1,100 points. Again, there was two conflicting headlines. So what really happened today? Asia had the worst trading day going back to 1987. So when we looked at the futures coming into today, right, they were down. The Dow was going to open down 1,500 points. I believe at one point it may have touched down 1,700. Okay, so that was probably the farthest down it got. Then Brian Kilmeade, another one of these. I hate to say it, but the guy's. Anyway, I won't say it. I'll just leave it alone. He's doing an interview on TV, and he's talking to Hassett, one of Trump's guys, and just comes up with, and I think he just made it up. Asked the question, would Trump consider a 90-day pause on tariffs? That's what he asked. So Hassett answers, the question was answered, I guess, poorly at first. When it started, he said yes till he heard the question. So there was, a little audio garble. Not yes to the 90-day pause. And then he goes on to say, but the damage is done, right? Somebody heard him say yes to 90-day pause. And the Dow literally moved from 1,000 points down to 1,000 points up in a mere matter of seconds, minutes. And then, of course, it was fake news. The Dow falls again, but way off its lows. And then this headline hits about a new 50% tariff if Beijing doesn't remove its retaliatory tariff. And Jason, that's got everything back on the back foot. Could you imagine now? China's already at 54%. That would make everything from China over 100%. I don't know. It's really hard. Can you imagine Apple right now and what Tim Cook's got to be thinking? It's like, what are you doing? What? Everything we build's in China, right? An iPhone's probably going to be like thousands and thousands of dollars instead of just $1,000. It's going to be like $3,000. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Today's special $5 Indians. $30 a coin off. $830 on a $5 in. By the way, that's $20 less than a $5 Liberty. And I don't need to tell you the story because I know all of you know it. The Indians, they were the fractional coins that went with the Saints. And the $5 Indian, as all of you know, my favorite coin in the entire world. It's a badass coin. I don't know if they probably get mad about it today because it has an Indian on it. They get upset about that stuff now. With the infused design, right? They carved into the coin, and they thought the plague was in there, so people didn't want to think about this. It's 1917, 1918, 1919, 1920, and people would freak out. Oh, wait! I'm gonna pay. Here's a $5 Indian. Whoa, no! Whoa, hey! Right? I don't even know if they knew what gloves and masks were back then, but they literally thought that it could have the plague in it. And the mint, it was so bad. The mint stopped minting them. Matter of fact, think about this: 1908 to 1933, and I think they minted the $5 Indian for 11 years. And 08 to 16, right? That was the majority. They stopped them at 16, so they only minted them a couple of more times after 1916. And they're just incredible. Great value here at $830 at 800-951-0592. And just like I thought, boy, Jason, how much gold do you think these central banks are buying right now? You think they're going crazy right now? China, once again, over the weekend, continued to buy gold. Poland continuing to buy gold. Middle East and Asian markets continuing to buy gold. China's gold holdings now at an all-time record. And, of course, now a lot of them, what I'm being told, is they're trying to be quiet. They don't want to report because they don't want to get Donald upset. But especially with this pullback, I got to imagine the vaults, which are already having trouble with keeping up with demand, are going to be in even bigger trouble here as, again, Donald Trump now threatening China with another 50% tariff. So China, their retaliatory tariff is supposed to go in on the 9th. So what is that, Wednesday? I think you got till midnight Wednesday. So let's call it Thursday. Thursday morning, we'll have to see what the response is. If the response from China is suck it, it's going to be a really bad day. If the response from China is, okay, we won't do it, it'll be a good day. If the response from China is what they responded last time and said, well, okay, it's another 50% on the United States, Jason, I promise you the circuit breakers will go off on Wall Street. There will be no doubt. We will probably see the worst losses in stock market history. You know, I know that we had the biggest two-day point loss in history Thursday and Friday, but if China responds with, well, we're just going to go tit for tat now, we're done playing around, we'll probably see the biggest single loss in stock market history. That would be my guess.
Right. And then this has happened before where when the stock market starts to go down and gold goes down, and then gold stops going down, right, Joe? And then we start to know that some bigger money is putting it in there. There's other places to put it, but let's face it, that's a great place to put it. And gold should be up today, but there'll be some consolidation of where when this sell-off happens. Yes, people that have their money still in the markets, they're the losers. Who's the winners? The ones that got out, right, Joe? Where is that money now? That money is somewhere, right, Joe? Where is it going, right? And here's the thing. It's not like they give us a diagram or a chart of who pulled out. When markets go down this big, it's the biggest whale owners of stocks that make it move like this. So China is one of those that could have a huge amounts in these markets. And when they're pulling it, and then Joe says they're increasing their gold holdings, well, they're going to love this Western stock price paper number that we have, right, Joe? Because it's much more expensive out east in China.
Yeah. Let me talk about silver really fast. There are no 1 ounce, 5 ounce, 10 ounce, 100 ounce silver bars available as of this morning. None. Silver rounds. They only have one silver round available. Of course, it's the highest priced one. That's the only thing in stock. Silver Eagles in stock. We got them. They're also at the highest price point so far this year. Foreign silver. So you know how silver goes, right? All the foreign stuff's cheaper. It's all sold out. All of it. Platinum. There's not a single thing. There's not a platinum bar. There's not a 10-ounce platinum bar. There's not an Australian platinum, a Canadian platinum, an American platinum. There's not any palladium. There's not any rhodium. Heck, even the foreign maple leafs, out of stock. Quarter-ounce American Gold Eagles, out of stock. 1 ounce Philharmonics, out of stock. Jason, big money is coming in and buying everything in sight.
Well, that money went somewhere, didn't it, Joe? So that money went somewhere. Gold was already being bought very heavily before this started to happen. So, Joe, I mean, I know that if I had bigger pockets, I know what I'd be stuffing my bags of money that I sold off my stock market shares to. I'd be putting gold and silver. There's big tidal waves of uncertainty getting ready to happen, Joe. It's you know, I've been saying for a while that I think there's going to be a big, huge emergency, a false emergency created to cover this thing up. But if you have a guy you can blame it on for his tariffs, that's almost just as good as not having to blame the bankers, right, Joe? Just blame Trump. Just blame Trump on this whole thing. It's his tariffs.
There you go. $5 Indians, 830. 10 or more, 825. 800-951-0592. The $5 Indian gold Indian quarter-ounce gold piece, 1 through 9, $8.30, 10 or more, $8.25. By the way, silver dimes, rolls of silver dimes at $120. Silver quarters at $2.40. Silver half dollars at $245. By the way, the Mercury dimes and the Walker halves hit here. We'll be working on those today. Jason will get his in the middle of next week here. We're hoping a lot of you, we owe hundreds of $5 or $5.5-ounce silver bars. They were supposed to ship Friday. They did. They're supposed to now ship today. Hopefully we'll have those in here this week. But as we were talking about earlier, with the exception of U.S. Silver Eagles and junk silver, most of the silver market has completely sold out as of this morning. We are getting more details now from Donald Trump's comments. China's action, so responding to China's 34%, we hit them with 10, then we made it 20, then we added 34 to make it 54%. China responded by saying, hey, 34% on 4.9 on the U.S. Donald Trump today, China's actions came despite my warning that any country retaliating against the new U.S. tariffs will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs over and above those initially set. By the way, what is that for China? According to Donald Trump, another 50%. In addition now, here's where it gets a little different now. All talks with China concerning their requested meeting with the United States is terminated. So Donald Trump saying we will not even have talks with the Chinese. Negotiations with other countries which have requested meetings will be taking place. Now, he did say the word immediately. Thank you for your attention on this matter. So I think, Jason, that gave some people some hope, some hopium that at least maybe something could be done based on what the response was to Vietnam and also Taiwan, because they both agreed, hey, we'll take all our tariffs off. They didn't have big ones to begin with. The answer they got was not good enough, right? Hey, that's not good enough. So I don't know, but Donald Trump saying, hey, we won't even take China's call. So I guess, Jason, we got 48 hours, right? Another 48 on top of this to find out what China's going to do. And I guess we'll find out through the media.
And that puts us back to where we were last week, which is some decision will be made on Wednesday, and then the market started crashing on Thursday. So maybe we go a little sideways on the markets after today, possibly. It's almost like they need to give you a dramatic moment, so that everybody can agree, oh, well, it's down because China didn't do what Trump wanted, so now it's more of a trade war. So is this going to happen? Are we going to have the repeat of Thursday, Friday, this Thursday and Friday, based off this timeline?
I want to give you some good news on this. Let's just say, because I got a feeling, and believe me, I have no clue what China will do, but I think China's like, okay, you wanna play a game of poker, right? What is? It's not even poker now. Like this feels like Russian roulette, doesn't it? But let's just say China says, you know what? No, we're going to put another 50% on. We're going to match you now. That's our response. Maybe at that point, I can come out there and tell you, okay, you may want to start fishing around for certain stocks because the S&P will probably be down, I don't know, a couple thousand more points. The Dow will probably be down another 10,000 points, something like that. Maybe, Jason, hey, let's just get it over with, right? Let's just crash the whole thing. I'm going to force Jay Powell to step in. I mean, you think about it. See, this is the other part, too, that people don't want to talk about. How many hedge funds are in trouble today? How many margin calls were made on Thursday and Friday and into today? How close are we to where there's going to be the need for intervention into these markets? I think all of these things are on the table, especially because of this new threat. If everything was left alone and they said, listen, we're not buckling this and that, okay, it'd be crappy on Wall Street, okay, but at some point, some people would be buying. But if this does come to fruition, Jason, maybe that's the goal. I don't know. I truly don't understand it, so maybe that's the goal.
We're not supposed to understand it. There's going to be a worldwide economic reset, and how that's going to go is probably not exactly clear. I have heard, and I've been watching the chit chat. One of the, so you'll start to see some keywords. One of the things that they're starting to say when they're talking about what's happening or what's going to happen is we're in a unipolar system, an economic system worldwide, and we're going to move into a multipolar system. And people in Washington are starting to actually use the term. It just started happening the last few weeks. A multipolar system, meaning instead of a one world economic system, there's going to be two, or there could be more. If they're starting to actually say this out loud, because this is supposed to be New World Order stuff, right? That doesn't mean it's a New World Order. It doesn't mean it's actually breaking apart. But once again, just like the Democrats and Republicans, you have to have the idea that there's a competition. So are they separating these markets? Are they tearing them apart? Going to blame their actions for a multipolar world. So we have the BRICS versus the West. Is that what we're looking at? We're going to have this, whether it's real or not, Joe.
Jamie Dimon, America is alone, and it's a bad thing. That's just coming out of Jamie Dimon today. We'll be back. 800-951-0592, $5 Indians, gold Indians on sale today. Big discount here, $30 off, $830 a coin. Less than $5 Liberties. 10 or more, $825. Rolls of dimes at $120. Rolls of quarters at $240. Rolls of silver. These are all silver, right? Pre-1965. Junk silver, utility silver, whatever you want to call it. Silver. Rolls of silver, $50. $245 right now. The Dow, it's off its lows. Boy, what a freak show day it has been on Wall Street. But right now down 600 plus, 37.7. It's been below 37 at the low. So, keep that in mind. The S&P right at 5,000 right now, down 55. The Nasdaq's down another 120. The crypto markets, right, back at that, right at that 77, 78. Just can't get anything going there. Right now, gold down 50. Silver's up 30. So it does look like potentially the silver, I guess, bears is, someone uses, so it's exhausted. Right? Well, yeah. Well, let me tell you what happened. Between Friday afternoon and Monday morning, somebody went and bought pretty much all the low-end silver out there. It's all gone. But, Jason, wow. We are definitely set up now for even more uncertainty. I think today would have been nice, right? Another down day today, and then maybe you could start to see Wall Street stabilize. I just don't know how it does unless between now and Thursday, China comes out and says we're not going to do the 34%. I think right now that literally we're probably that dependent. That may be the only news that matters the rest of this week.
Yeah, and the volatility in the market today is almost as bad as the 2,000 and the 1,600-point drops last week, Joe. Because here's the thing. I'm looking at, like, Apple stock. It's at 179. that doesn't mean it gets bought and sold at 179. If you're a big firm and says, look, we'll buy your Apple stock, but we're going to buy it at 150. Okay, just because it says 178 on that ticker doesn't mean big firms are going to pay that much. So if they're going to pay it at 150, if some other big firm's like, okay, we want to dump, we're scared, they buy it at 150. And then they put out a sell price of 165. Hey, we got some at 165. If the ticker's still saying 179 and you're selling at 165, this is the roulette wheel going off, right, Joe? When it comes to stock market, these big firms can really, in midday, can make huge amounts of money, which causes this thing to go up and down. What this is screaming to me, Joe, is it's going to keep going down. And there are some big players that are going to try to make money. There's guys that make money really well going down. And just because we don't have the big plunge of Thursday and Friday, this is almost just as bad as Signal, Joe, which tomorrow, I know Joe says it could be really bad today, but let's see what tomorrow has to hold. Let's see if anyone decides to actually buy tomorrow, because I don't think so.
Yeah, look at right. Nike's down another 5% today. Apple's down 5% today. Caterpillar's down big today. Right? I mean, it just Tesla. What? Tesla can't get out of its own way. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping it up on this Monday.